Hello, I'm Adam from FTC Team 14892 Venom out of the Alliance Academy for Innovation inside of Cumming, Georgia. And today I'm going to be talking to you about different kinds of intakes. So the three most common types of intakes are the Goliath intake, the wheel intake, and spin take. First up, we got the Goliath intake, which is made up of rubber bands and sprockets. There's two ways to orient it. Vertically, which is good for picking up cone-shaped objects, kind of shown in the top right image, and then also horizontally, which is good for picking up small objects from the floor, like rings or tennis balls, as shown in the bottom right image. And then a pro of this intake is that it has good grip on the objects. The rubber band has a very good grip on the game elements. But a con would be that the rubber bands can often break or slip, requiring that high maintenance be required of the Goliath intake. Next up, we got the compliant wheel intake, which would be the most common type. And there's two ways to orient it. Vertically, which grips objects from the top, or is best for smaller objects and balls. And then horizontally, which grips objects from the side and is best for taller objects. So a pro of the compliant wheel intake is that it's easy to build and it has more flexibility in the wheels for gripping the objects. But a con would be that it can't intake cubes or prisms easily. Next up, we got spin take, which spin take is small objects that fit onto a shaft to help bring elements into a mechanism. It's kind of shown inside the image to the right. It's the white objects on the shafts, and it's mostly oriented vertically. A pro is that it brings small cubes and balls into a mechanism or a ramp very efficiently and is easy to build with. A con would be that it can only be used on small game elements. Big game elements like the blocks from Skystone would not be good for this kind of intake. Now, the FTC game that was used, that people used spin take the most, was inside of Fright Frenzy. Lastly, we got the gripped wheel intake, which is another kind of wheel intake, and it's the second most common type of intake. And there's two ways to orient it. It vertically, which grips objects from the top, and it's best for smaller objects and balls. And horizontally, which grips objects from the side and is best for taller objects. The gripped wheel intake is very similar to the compliant wheel intake, except for the gripped wheel intake doesn't have much flexibility in the wheels, so game elements would be harder to bring into the robot compared to intakes with compliant wheels. However, gripped wheel intakes are easy to build with, so many teams do prefer it over the compliant wheel intake. So here's a review of all the types of intakes that we just went over, and it has a charts with what is made with the intake, the pros and cons, and what game elements it's best for. So you all can hopefully use this chart throughout the year and in determining what kind of intake you all would like to use. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and you'll be able to see our other videos that we've created for mechanical, programming, and business. And there's plenty more to come until the season starts.